Welcome to the Shortcut podcast, your shortcut to developer experience, cloud, and product engineering.
And we're here to inspire teams and tech leaders to be more productive, build and deliver great product. So, Morten, welcome to our teaser episode. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so a little bit about us.
I can start. My name is Marilag, and I'm a Filipina tech professional, now also a tech entrepreneur living in Denmark.
Yeah, my name is Morten, and I live in Denmark. I work as a digital engineering and people leader, which is just another way of saying engineering manager.
And Morten and I, we've known each other for a couple of years now through the tech communities here in Denmark. But I am actually curious.
How long have I been in tech? I guess I've been in tech for 24 years. Around thereabouts. What about you?
I think I'm about the same. Yeah. So I started working as a junior developer as soon as I graduated from computer science when I was 19 years old. Oh, you can do the math. So roughly around 24 years. So that's a long time. And I guess we've learned a lot throughout our journey.
Yeah.
But we're also very active in tech communities. And like I mentioned, that's how we met primarily. And what tech communities are you a part of now?
Well, mostly the Copenhagen Dotnet user group and also the Azure user group. And then I also attend a lot of different meetups whenever I have the chance. But those are the ones that I take an active part in organizing. What about you?
Well, the same. I am also part of the Azure user group Denmark, and I'm also organizing Azure user group Philippines. I try to arrange meetups and events with some of the Filipino tech community. And then I'm also part of an organization called ulap.org, and we provide, free trainings and certifications to some underrepresented youths in the Philippines and also in other countries. So those are the two things that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. And now we're doing a podcast. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about our plans, or what is this podcast about?
Yeah. So the idea is to really talk about developer experience, developer productivity, product engineering, product management. So all the things, as we would say, that three different perspectives of working on products with tech and product management and design. So that product trio has a lot of grains. I believe the culture here is a little bit different from in the US. So I think it's an interesting perspective to have that.
It's just emphasizing our ultimate interest in hearing these really good stories. I know that maybe a lot of our listeners would immediately jump into the problems that we want to solve. But actually, the way Morten and I want to address that is to bring to light the good stories, the success stories, so that we can learn from them. And then ultimately, of course, this is for individuals, for developers. But we would like to have really insightful conversations with the leadership because, of course, they are the primary drivers of strategies that improve developer productivity in the entire organization. So tech leaders, engineering managers, product managers, and even the C-levels, our CIOs and CDOs and directors, put them all together, have a conversation with them and how are they doing things and in different sizes of organizations, as you mentioned. So, and then ultimately, how will this be impactful to the individual developers that are part of their team?
Why are you passionate about developer experience and productivity that we're talking about here, amongst other things, of course?
Right. I work with developers every single day for several hours every day. And I'm a developer myself, and I've been developer for a very long time. And I also work for some companies that build their platform for developer experience. And since then, it has been an enlightening experience for me, especially the last 4 or 5 years now, because most of the folk, I used to be more focused on the technical side of things, architecture, building stuff in the cloud. But having your own development company and then working with companies that are also building their own developer experience portal, or at least their strategy, opens my mind into all the possibilities and all the great things that we can gain if we put more effort into improving the experience of our, not just the developers, but the entire development team who are building digital products. What about you? Why are you passionate about developer experience and productivity?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's right now is I mean, I've taken quite an interest into developer experience and seeing what other companies are doing. But I think probably comes out of, I mean, having a long background as a developer. And I think for many developers, we really like to be in the zone. That's when we do our best work, and that's where we're the most productive. So how do we reach that state, and how do we reach that state maybe on a daily basis? What can companies do to ensure that developers can reach that state every day, ideally, or at least as often as possible, so they're productive, so they don't have impediments, don't have a lot of friction, but just can pick up work and start coding and deploy to production and just keep that flow going. So I think that's very interesting to see how we can improve that.
And I guess it's not just for developers, also tech leaders, right? They are very keen on not just making sure that their developers or their engineering teams are productive, but are also happy and healthy. And that's what this is all about.
So we lined up some questions to ask each other. So
Right. So what we did is we prepared 3 questions for each other, and
Yep.
2 of them may be related to the content that we want to share with you, of course. But then we also have personal questions towards them. So,
Yep.
yeah, I'll start
Yes.
asking you question.
Yep.
All right. So my first question. This is not a quiz, just so you know. I'm not gonna give you points for your answer,
No wrong.
but
wrong
you can
answers.
try. All right. So there are no wrong answers, but yeah, try your best.
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right. What do you think is the most important leadership characteristic for running a high-performing engineering team?
Yeah, we start with the tough questions. I think a lot of it is to do with communication, because I think to have a high performing team, I think it needs to be an autonomous team, not anonymous. Hopefully not anonymous, but an autonomous team that can do a lot themselves. They can make their own decisions or take decisions on behalf of what they're working on. And in order to do so, I think it's important that the leadership is very clear in their communication about what's the strategy, what's the target, what are we aiming towards achieving, and then let the team do their best work. And I think that's really when people will perform and achieve more.
That's wonderful. I think we're going to have a lot of conversation with tech leaders about that, especially about trust. We're definitely going to have a whole episode just talking about trusting the team, and then the team trusting leadership. I'm looking forward to that. So my next question, if you have to choose between these 2 tools, which one will it be? First, an AI coding assistant, or a really, really smart task and time management app?
I'm not super big on coding assistants yet, or AI. I'm sure maybe at some point it'll be, but I think I would choose the really smart task and time management app. I've been using something around time management tasks for a long time, where I've basically just been using my calendar as a way to plan work that I need to be doing during a week or during a sprint, for that matter. And I think that's helped me quite a lot. I mean, of course, there's the powers of AI, but I think right now I would probably choose the really smart task and time management app. And hopefully that doesn't totally rule out using AI.
I was just going to say, it's probably also still going to be AI doing the task management for you, but do you want AI to help you become a better coder, or do you want AI to help you become a better professional, a balanced.
Yeah, but I think that AI coding assistant is more that I think that would be a productivity feature kind of thing where maybe I can do things faster or smarter or get validation of what I've been doing. Maybe I write something and then have it generate tests for it. Yeah, so that could be one, or help me something with a pipeline or answer questions related to documentation or something.
All right. So my last question, Morten.
Yeah.
If you weren't in tech, what would you be doing?
I would be making tacos.
I feel like you would have the same answer for any question. It's like, what's your favorite food?
Yeah, tacos.
What kind of hobby do you have?
Making tacos.
What do you do on Thursdays?
Probably eat tacos.
Exactly. So no matter what I ask you, there's going to be tacos in you.
Yeah, most likely.
I think everybody knows you as someone who loves tacos. I love tacos as well.
Yeah, maybe that's like a secret dream outside of tech to have a taco truck, food truck. All right, so I guess it's my turn for asking you a few questions. So my first question is, on a fairly immature team, what would be the first thing you would do for them to achieve a faster flow of work?
I think it's related to what you said about leadership as well. And that is building a really good communication framework that is based on trust. And I think trust between teammates can be established if they get to know each other a little bit better. If we are not afraid to tell our teammates about which areas we're not that strong in, and of course also being open and proud of which areas we are also strong in, both technically and also non-tech stuff, and putting it out on the table in the first few meetings, and maybe doing some workshops where the team get to know each other, and not being afraid of saying, for example, that, oh, this is the first time I'm going to build this type of solution or working with this technology. I would need some time to do this. And then the other teammates being more accepting of that fact that we're not all, the term 10 times developers, which I actually am not a big fan of. We're not all 10 times developers. And even those that are very, senior, we all know this from experience, that it doesn't mean that you're already good at everything, because technology is always changing. I guess to summarize, knowing each other's weaknesses and using that actually as a strength and leverage to build sort of a pyramid within the team of just lifting each other up.
Yeah.
And I've seen this in many teams, that they're not actually, if you ask them, okay, what do you think is the weakest point of your teammate? And they can't tell. And then suddenly 1 year down the road, they are so confused why people are having a hard time, working together, because they haven't been very open and, about these things. And then suddenly it's harder to trust each other. And we want to avoid that. Yeah. So we can solve any tech impediments down the line, but the team is immature. The first thing we need to establish is trust, including being open and accepting of our weaknesses.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, for my next question, I wanted to ask you, what is the biggest impediment for developer productivity, in your opinion?
Oh, this is a little hard because there's a lot, right? Any team, or even really good developers or development teams, can be very productive in the first couple of iterations, and then suddenly you build a new feature and then another feature and then another feature, and suddenly you have to keep understanding or remembering everything that you've done for 5 features. It's not scalable, and no matter how good you are, there's no way for you to be able to handle that. So I think that's at least what I see as the biggest impediment in the teams that I work with and for myself. So I think, and one solution could be having a really good handover over a period. So if the application is growing, leaders shouldn't expect that the same amount of people can still handle the same amount of information, because that's really a big impediment for their productivity, no matter how good they are.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, like from my experience, something that's at least often an impediment is context switching, and especially for developers being dragged out to different things during the day. And again, as we talked about before, with being in the zone, when you're in the zone, then having to be dragged out to a meeting or answer something or distracted by email or Teams or whatever that might be. I think that context switching is kind of a kill.
Yeah, and that happens a lot if you have to work with a lot of different features or contexts, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay if you're working in the same context, even if you have to be dragged out in another meeting, but it's still the same context. Of course, you don't want to disturb the flow when you're already in the coding mode. That's kind of a no-no
Yeah.
in the industry, right? But for me, the most difficult is that, like, when I'm already working, let's say, on an authentication feature, and then I've been called to a meeting about user, management or privacy or authentication is also security. Let's say payments.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I've met very few people who can handle all these things, and even though they can handle it and they seem like they can handle it, there are this micro stress. I should wanted to share about this with the productivity because I just bought the Harvard Business Review magazine. I think that's a spring edition, and it talks about micro stresses, like all these little things that is probably you would think is something that's easy to handle because they're not too big, but if it's accumulating, then that's a big impediment on your productivity. And you're right, context switching, cognitive load is is very problematic for development teams and developers.
So on to the last question. What is the one dish you would choose if you were stuck on an island? That was the only dish you could eat while being on that island.
Right. That's probably my nanay. Nanay is a Filipino word for mom. So that's my nanay's adobo, chicken adobo. So it's a Filipino dish. It's a braised chicken in vinegar and soy sauce and garlic and some bay leaf and a lot of whole pepper. It's not spicy, but it's pepperish.
Yeah.
And there's a million ways of doing it. But my mom's adobo, that's probably, I can live.
So that one you can eat every day for 3 months or...
Yes. Also because it can last 3 months without a fridge.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I guess we reached the end of our teaser episode and it's been really fun.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I love this. Yeah. So what's our next plan, Morten?
Yeah, well, our plan is we're creating a long list of guests that we want to bring on and topics that we want to talk about. So we have some different threads, some different topics that we're working from and just outlining future episodes, right? To bring some interesting content to the podcast landscape.
Yeah. And I'm really happy that we get to do this together. And thank you for supporting my crazy idea about having a podcast. I guess you also have that crazy idea all this time. And now we're recording. And the recordings with our guests are getting started. And we're really excited to launch very soon. So see you at our pilot episode.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.